Alright, you guys, today I'm going to teach and show you how to properly tie the blood knot and get it right every single time. In order to demonstrate this, I'm going to use this braided line by Casking. This is not a product advertisement video. I'm not getting sponsored. Hell, I wish I was getting sponsored by some kind of fish company because I love to fish. I love this braided line. I have the Casking Sharky bait feeder 6000. I love it so much that I purchased 3 of them. And this line, this braided line, the 50-pound as well as the 65-pound, has never failed me whatsoever. Now, thank you for viewing this video. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and leave a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. I would definitely appreciate that. So I don't have somebody filming for me, so hopefully this view will be good to see everything as I demonstrate this. Now, I've watched plenty of videos on YouTube on how to tie this knot, and everybody have their preferred method of doing it. However, like many other people, tying this knot has been a very difficult challenge. I have spent an extreme amount of time trying to tie this, and at times I could get it very easily. And other times it just takes me longer than I would like to. And in the past, it has took me well over an hour just to get this knot, and it would be so frustrating to be honest. So this is not going to be a quick video. I'm going to thoroughly detail this as much as I can so y'all can so that you guys can fully understand this knot. And the number one problem that people have when tying this knot is that they are putting their tag ends in the wrong hole. And a lot of people, when they demonstrate this video of how to tie this knot, they don't do a very good enough detailed job on how to properly do this. And since finally perfecting this knot, I could get it right each and every single time that I do it. Sometimes if I'm rushing, the knot is not as great as it should be, but it never fails. Now, a lot of people talk about their favorite knot, and I really feel like it's very important for each and every fisherman to practice and understand how to tie very strong and powerful, effective knots. The reason why this is important is because when you're out fishing and you really, let's say you're out fishing and you catch the fish of a lifetime, or just any fish in general, but however, if you catch a big trophy fish or whatever, the number one thing that's going to prevent you from being able to successfully land that fish is your knot. Because if your line breaks, and if you lose your whole rig, or if you if you lose your whole rig and you see where the line broke at and it's at the knot, then you will know that knot that you used to perform that task was not effective. So the knot is very important, because you don't want to hook up on a great big fish or any fish and lose it because of a poor knot that wasn't properly tied, or was just not an effective knot to begin with. Some people prefer the FG knot. The FG knot is okay. I really feel like this is the best knot for tying, especially like when you're spooling to a new reel, and you want to incorporate adding some braided line to your spool, because when you're spooling a brand new reel, it's best to have a backer meaning you have at the base of the spool, you have you have it covered with a light layer of monofilament fishing line. Typically, I like to use 20 pounds, and I have another knot that I will show in another video on what I feel and believe is the best way to spool a new fishing reel. And after I do the initial wrapping with the mono, I use the blood knot to connect my braid, since I primarily like to fish with braid. I tie the braid with the blood knot, to the mono. And then at the end of my spool, I like to have some leader line with some mono as well. I may use 30-pound mono for my leader line, about a few feet, and I use a blood knot to make that happen as well. Another great thing about using a blood knot is especially if you're low on funds and don't have a lot of money, and you have various, leftover fishing line that you see here is not really much left than when I first bought it. But the thing is, if you don't have enough money to buy brand new line, or you just want to preserve what you got and get the most out of it, you could use the remaining of this line and combine it with the blood knot to this line to my right, and you could get you'll be able to utilize all of your fishing line that you have available. You could piece together things. And another thing with the blood knot, as well as it being super strong, the profile of the knot itself is very low. It could change with the various different factors I'm going to explain briefly in just a moment. But the profile of it is very low, so that it easily guides through the fishing rod guides on your pole, and it will go smoothly through the guides when you're casting, as well as retrieving your rigs or your fish. When you bringing in your line, it's going to feel great. It's not going to feel bumpy. It's going to perform very well, and you'll barely notice it as it goes through the guide. So on to the video. Now, I'm not very good at all of the activities on YouTube. Some people like to be able to put timestamps to skip to the part that they just want to see, but I feel like it's very good for somebody to have a very descriptive video on this, because as you'll notice on YouTube, a lot of the videos are short and it'd be over. So what I like to do now, on other videos, they'll say, oh, make an X and all of this. Don't ignore everything, basically, what you have seen on YouTube so far. Come into this with an open mind, and hopefully you'll be able to properly see what I'm doing with this knot, because I have it rigged in a certain position and I'm not able to see it as I'm making this knot. So hopefully this video will come out perfectly well. Okay, so what you want to do is you grab your fishing line, both the lines that you want to tie the blood knot. Now, I like to have a lot of tag ends on my line that I'm going to perform the blood knot. Now, with your right hand holding it, you could pretty much go like either way to wrap it around the other line. You could either go over or you could go under. I like to go over with my first initial wraps. Now, when you're grabbing the two lines that you see, notice there's a small gap right here. Now, when I go to start making my first wrap, you don't want to have it such a huge gap like way over here. I mean you could, but I feel like you don't want to be sloppy with it, and you don't want to have it too small, because where your fingers are pinched at on a line, that little gap right there, right here, and I'm gonna point it out for you. This little gap right here, you're going to be putting your tag in through. So you want to give yourself enough room, and really, you could wrap this as many times as you like. If you do it, let's say if you did it like 15 times, your knot would just simply be longer, and it may make it even more stronger, but I don't think it's really necessary. I typically, especially for like a braided line, and also you could do this not with pretty much any kind of line. I noticed that if you use a thicker line, like say a 50 or 60 pound mono, and you're trying to tie this knot to like a smaller diameter line, it can be difficult and challenging. But I don't think it's. I don't think that's a good way to go about it. But you could. But you just. It's just. I don't know. I just don't like doing that. Okay, so when you're wrapping it, right? As you're wrapping it with your other hand, and keep in mind that you're still keeping a grip on the two lines. When you're making your initial wraps, you don't want to have very big. You don't want to wrap each wrap too far apart. Like meaning, like you got one wrapped, and you go down here, you got another wrap, you goes down some more, you got another wrap. You don't want to do that, because when you start to cinch everything down together, it creates more room for error with this knot, and it won't tie down or form properly, rather. So what I like to do, and I'm just going to just tell you guys that try to keep each and every one of your wraps as close as possible. Make them neat, because you'll see why at the end. And the reason for that is that each line that you make, you want your knot to be perfect. And when I get to tying this knot, you're gonna see exactly what I mean. So, and I'm not perfect, but I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. So that's your first wrap, right? I'm running around it once. Okay. That's two times. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. I'm gonna go one more time around, but I'm gonna grab this piece of the tag in, and I'm gonna stick it in this hole, going straight down. All right, and then I'm gonna grip it with my other hand. All right, now you see this right here? This is how you're gonna want this to look. And if you pull this tag in, you'll notice how it's getting kind of like closer, right? You see this, how this is? That's what you want to be looking for. You want to keep it kind of low. Reason why you want to keep it kind of low like this is because you're gonna, this hand right here, this hand that's holding everything together, you're gonna essentially switch everything what you're doing with this hand to your left hand, or to your opposite hand, rather, depending on how you started and all of that. So keeping it low like this allows you to get a better grip and hold on to all of your wraps in one hand pretty good, and you can secure everything. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to switch everything over. All right, and so you still have this open space gap on the opposite side, right? you're gonna start making the wraps on the opposite side, going in the opposite direction. So right here, boom. That's one. That's two. That's three. That's four. That's five. And so on the sixth one, right here, that's where everybody's messing up. Putting it in the wrong hole. This hole right here, let me show you. That's the hole that you're going to be using, going from this way. Now you can see the opposite line, which is the yellow, is on the bottom. So with the line that you was making, you want to go in between those pieces of line, but in this direction, in that same gap, and you want to put your tag in through the opposite direction. And when you do that, you see how same thing is going on this side. That's what you want. So I'm gonna pull the tag in, and I move this, and see how that's coming down more. That's what you want, like that. And so, like I said, you want to pull this slow, and I want to pull this some more to tag in, just because when I'm cinching the knot, it'll be it's more safer for this knot to come together and form properly like that, because there's not like a big amount of gap that's going through. Like, it's not the gap, but the travel space is reduced. So right here, you pulling on the opposite ends of the other tag ends. Well, not tag ends, but the other pieces of line. And as you move it slow, as you cinch it down slow, you're going to see everything form and come together neatly as it's supposed to. And it also gives you a chance to see how your wraps are coming together. And then you can also play with the other side of the tag ends to ensure that it's being formed properly. A lot of people like to rush this step and just quickly cinch it down, but you don't want to do that, because you want your wraps to come together nice and evenly. See how I'm pulling the opposite tag ends to even out the wraps, because I want my wraps to be neat, and that's going to ensure that you tie the knot perfectly. See how I'm going slow, and you can see that? And then once I'm satisfied, I can start pulling the opposite ends together more. Moving the tag ends. And you see this? Try to move it closer to the camera so you can see. And as I'm pulling the tag ends, you see the wraps coming. And you should be able to count each and every wrap that's forming. They should not be sitting on top of one another. Boom, look at the yellow. See how the yellow, this is lined up? I'm moving slow, so you can see what I'm talking about. Boom. The same thing's gonna happen on the opposite side with the blue line, like that. See that I'm doing that tag in to make that come together. Boom. See how it is? Look at that. Look how it's forming. You will never get this knot wrong ever again. Boom. Once you have it like that, then you could pull and bring it on in. You want to make that neat, as smooth as possible. Smooth as possible. Boom. Then you could pull it tightly. Wow. So you sit in there nice and perfect. Like that. You pulling it tighter to cinch it down. You'll know when it's tied properly because you should be able, it should almost have like a windmill effect. And plus, you notice the tag ends are going in opposite direction. That's what they want to do. Some people would tie the knot, and then when you, at the end of the knot, the tag ends, will be facing the same direction like this. If your tag end is coming out the same direction like this, you know you messed up the knot. It's going to underperform. So look at this. I'm going to try to bring it closer to the camera if I can. Look at that. You could count the wraps. You should be able to visually see. And then also, see what I'm saying? So what you want to do, once you're at this point, is you want to snip off your tag ends, being careful. Not to cut into your line, your main line. Just the tag ends. So I'm grabbing it so that only the tag end I want to clip off. I could do it separately. Get it to the knot as close as possible. Or cut the knot, or the tag, cut the tag end as close to the knot as possible. Excuse me, sorry about that. You can go do the same with the other side, with the other tag end. And there you go. Now what you could also do, and this is what I do, to increase the integrity of the knot, is I get some super glue and I put 1 or 2 drops on the knot itself and allow it to dry before I want to make sure it's thoroughly dry, just so that it won't stick to any other line and create a problem for you. And this knot is not going anywhere. This knot is super strong. I honestly believe that this is the strongest fishing knot in the world. That knot is not going anywhere, especially once you put super glue on it. But if you don't have any super glue on hand, this knot itself will never, ever fail you. Ever. That's how you tie the blood knot. There's another way for you to tie the blood knot as well. I actually don't like it. It's okay, but I'm gonna demonstrate that. So what you do, is you get your lines that you want to tie together with the blood knot, and you want to hold both sides. You want to hold both lines with your hands. And so all you're going to be essentially doing is, once you get a firm grip on it, it's like kind of like, I don't know. Y'all remember that Itsy Bitsy Spider song? It was like the Itsy Bitsy Spider. Remember that? It reminded me of something similar to that. So you grab it with a firm grip, and all you're gonna do essentially is take the two lines and you're gonna twist it together like this. You want to do this as many times as possible, because essentially what you're doing is you're doing the wraps on each side simultaneously. So that's why you want to rotate this or wrap it around like this a lot of times. And the more wraps you do is just really just going to make the knot longer. So what you do once you do that is you're going to put the tag in through, that gap, right there. That should actually let's go through it this way, like that. And you want to pinch that down with your other hand. Having a hard time trying to grab this right there. Oh, coming out. There we go. So I'm gonna grab that. And you're gonna get the other side of the tag in. Go through it that way from underneath. It's the same thing like with the other knot. Grip that down. And all you're doing is the same thing. You know, fill it with the tag ends like that. And it's going to allow you to form that knot. And then all you're going to do is the same thing, which is pulling the opposite tag ends like that. And that knot will slowly start to form and come together. I don't really like this. Kind of moved off camera. Sorry about that. All I'm doing is the same thing. I'm pulling the tag in. Sorry, it just dragged out of camera. And as you're pulling it in, your wraps are still forming the same way. Like that. But I don't really like it this way. And then, because you don't really have a lot of control over how your knots is coming together. You can if you do it slow. But I don't like it. You can tie it that way, and if you like rushing and need it, and as you pull it in, and it'll still perform well, but so boom, tying it. I mean, I'm not tying. No, I'm just pulling the ends, and boom. But this is what I'm saying. The knot kind of become like a little bit more bulkier, and you get the same profile with the other one if you take your time with it. But I just feel like the other way is a lot more better. And this knot is not the best, as you can see right here in comparison. Now, in case you just wanted to see All right, let me clip the tag in so you can really see what I'm talking about. Sorry. Gotta keep it in camera. I'm just clipping off the tag ends. That's all I'm doing. So like I said, see, does not get it closer to the camera. Is not as neat as, say, this one. This one has a much lower profile. You may say, yeah, see, it's kind of bulkier. I don't really like it. That, you guys, is the Blood Knot. Thank you for watching Fishing with the Bro. See you next time.